Hello everyone, it's Michael Lazar here. Welcome back to the channel. And before we begin today's video, I just want to remind you all that I'll be offering an intermediate Byzantine chant course this winter, which starts next week. The link to register will be in the description down below. So in today's video, I want to talk about vocal hygiene during the winter months. So winter is by far the hardest time of the year for singers, or I guess there's anyone that uses their voice in general. The biggest reason why is the lack of humidity. It's not the cold in the air, it's not the ice on the roads, it's not the snow, it's none of that. Most of it is going to come from the humidity, or the lack thereof. So during the winter months in the northern hemisphere, it can get anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20% humidity, if not lower than that. So it becomes very dry. And you might be wondering, well, why is this problematic? I'm singing, my innards are moistened. Why does it matter what the outside's like? Well, it becomes problematic because the air that reaches your lungs needs to be at 100% humidity. What does that mean? Well, if the air outside is between 10 and 20% humidity, that means that the extra 80% has to come from the water, from the mucosal membranes within the vocal tract and sinuses. This is the problem, because what's in that area? It's your mouth, it's your larynx, it's the back of your mouth, it's your sinuses. All of those become dry. And why is that bad? Well, the water that you have within your mouth and vocal tract help with lubrication. Why is that important? Well, think of vocal cords like a car engine. The lubrication that comes from being moist helps with reducing friction, reducing heat, and allows you to have more endurance and stamina with your singing. If a car engine has no oil, what happens? Well, it blows up pretty quickly. You get metal shards everywhere. It runs really inefficiently, and it gets very hot very quickly. And when it gets hot, things start to warp and get damaged. Your vocal cords are very similar. When things start to get hot and are not temperature regulated, and they're not lubricated, you run into the issue of having either a raspy voice, or worse, you get even more injuries beyond just it being cold. You get the dry injuries and overuse injuries that happen much faster due to the dryness. So the secret to our success in the winter then is how can we optimize the humidity and hydration that we get. So first things first, the way that you breathe is very important. So you have something called your sinuses, and they're essentially extra folds within the nasal cavity and that go beyond it, that connect to the back of your mouth, that have these increased areas of surface level. The concha is one name for them, turbinate's another name, but they have these extra bony folds that have these mucus-like secretions that come out, and what happens is that actually moistens the air. Why is this important? Well, the moisture that comes from your sinuses humidifies the air that you breathe in, which means that by the time it gets to the back of your throat and then into your voice box, that air is much, much more hydrated than if you breathe through your mouth. Because when you breathe through your mouth, that is much more direct and there's less surface area than if you breathe through your nose. So the first thing you can do to really help optimize your humidity that you're getting and keeping your vocal tract moist is breathing through your nose. So another thing that you can do that would be really helpful is making sure that you have a humidifier in your room if it is dry. Humidifiers are very useful. Just make sure you put it high enough, because if it hits the ground, the water's not really going to the air, just kind of hitting the ground and making a puddle. So if you can get it higher up in the air and on a lower setting, higher setting, more condensation, it's not that good. Lower setting is more helpful, especially when you're sleeping. You might find it to be the best time to run it. Another thing is hot showers. So if you wake up in the morning and everything feels dry, the steam from a hot shower can really help to just moisten everything. That helps a lot, as well as staying hydrated. Staying hydrated is very important. So when drinking water, drinking a gallon all at once is not a good idea. A few reasons. One, your body doesn't want you to take in a gallon of water all at once. I don't know if you've ever, gone through a giant sporting event where you got really thirsty. If you drink all the water that you're craving all at once, you vomit. That's bad. But although for singers, I don't think this will be as much as a problem, but you can run the risk of having brain swelling through overconsumption of water. That's not going to be a problem you're going to deal with. That's at the most extreme. The best option is to drink a good amount in the morning when you wake up, and then drink consistently throughout the day. It's better to have 10% of your water incrementally than 50% at 2 times of the day. It's good for your kidneys. It's good for your blood. It's good for everything else to have water consistently. It's not good to take it all at once. That's a recipe for disaster. Same thing with singing. Keeping hydration throughout the day is very helpful. So all those things are going to help with humidity. Another thing that you might find helpful is during the winter months, when it is cold, your extremities, like your lips, might get a bit drier and things where like your fingers get tingly and stuff. That's why people say wear gloves. If you're a pianist, to keep your extremities warm, because when it's cold outside, it takes a while for you to get those fingers to have the same movement and blood flow. For singing, everything is more central, so it's not really the temperature that matters as much, but that dryness can really affect the lips, and that really can mess with your articulation. So if you are someone that does get dry lips often, making sure that you have Vaseline or lip balm or something to keep your lips moistened is very helpful and prevent them from getting chapped. Another thing that's very helpful during the winter months, they might find how that helps with some of that moisture is drinking warmer drinks. Hot tea and lemon is like the go-to. Honey is also good. Honey is very soothing, so a lot of that sore throat raspiness you can get from the dryness is immediately alleviated with honey. So that does help a lot during the winter months. Another thing that's very important is staying healthy. So the worst thing you can do during the winter is get sick, which is very difficult to not do. If you are a parent with children, children are a blessing in some ways, but you will get sick probably more often than you hope to. That's just a part of life. So, make sure that even if you don't have a child, you are washing your hands well, and you're not sharing drinks or food with other people. If someone is sick, you don't have to talk to them right up close and personal. Keeping your distance from sick people. We had social distancing and during the pandemic. We don't need to do it as much. Nowadays, it's not really as much of a concern, but still, if somebody is coughing up a storm and you have a performance next week, don't go and breathe the air that they're breathing. That's not a good idea. Even if you have a good immune system, you're not immunocompromised. That's not a good idea. So, again, washing your hands and not sharing food with other people, that does do a big part in staying healthy. And especially during this time of year, getting sick plus the dryness is like a killer on the voice, and you don't want to do that. As for all months of the year, you should also warm up before you sing. In the winter, this is especially necessary. Like we said before, with all that dryness and things like that, making sure that your voice is being used correctly and you're not working too hard or doing anything crazy, like any weird muscle movements or tension from either the cold weather or from the dryness. A good warm-up is very helpful, and you should always do it before you start singing. Another thing that is just I have something just I want to mention. Exercise, if you are a runner and you are a singer, maybe consider running indoor or doing exercise indoors instead of outdoors during the winter months. The less you are outside, the better it is. Although I wouldn't say don't go outside at all, but I'm saying, don't spend 5 hours outside all the time, And if you are spending a lot of time outside during the winter months, make sure you stay hydrated. And that way you don't, again, run the damage of having the lack of humidity in your voice. Let's say that you do get sick, and you do have to sing. I have a video about some ways you can sound normal when you're sick, but the biggest things are creating more space in your mouth when you sing and when you speak. that does a lot of help in creating more space, especially when you have the inflammation that and the extra mucus that takes away that resonance, especially in the back of your mouth. And that soft palate lift does help a lot in sounding normal when you're sick. Another thing that if you are sick is resting your voice, so not using it too much. Again, the more you use your voice when you're sick, the more you run a lot of risks in regards to damaging it. If you are singing in a healthy way, that's fine, but it's better safe than sorry for a lot of these things. Taking rest is not a bad thing. And I guess the last thing I want to say for just keeping your voice healthy in winter months is don't scream. That's with anything, but especially during the winter, people have Christmas and New Year's parties, and we just went through all of that, and but alcohol, for example, is dry when you go to parties and things like that. Don't be an alcoholic, I guess, but don't drink so much alcohol. It's very drying. Be careful on the salt you eat. Make sure you drink enough water with that. Same with sugars and things like that. Make sure you don't scream a lot or use your voice in a damaging manner. So a lot of those things that would apply during any other time of the year also apply in the winter months, just for making sure that you're staying hydrated and you're not drying your voice out and damaging anything. So, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate if you liked and subscribed. If you have any requests for any other vocal videos, you can put in the description down below, or comments down below, I guess. Beyond that, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.